Hey, I'm Randy Younger, New York City's go-to film enthusiast. Every week, I dive deep into the world of cinema with special guests from the New York City film scene. Whether I'm interviewing industry insiders or comparing the latest releases, there's always something for every movie lover. Join me as I explore the magic of film and discover what makes these movies unforgettable. Hey guys, I'm Randy Unger, and this is another episode of Under the Radar, bringing movies and people together one frame at a time. And with me tonight, I have a valued friend and guest critic. It's been a while for this gentleman, but I'm so happy he's here tonight, Mr. Tyler Michael. Welcome back to the show, sir.
Thank you, Randy. It's an honor to be back. I really have missed you, man.
Oh, missed you too, sir. Really happy we made this work. It's just you and me tonight, so I've got you all to myself, and we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna be talking about some movies tonight. Most notably, two films, one a lot better than the other. We're going to be talking about the 1994 action thriller Speed, now celebrating its 30th anniversary. And we're also going to discuss the more of a lackluster sequel, Speed 2 Cruise Control from 1997, directed by Jean de Bont, who originally started off as a cinematographer, most notably on Die Hard. And basically, we have Die Hard on a bus. And the film stars Keanu Reeves, Dennis Hopper, and Sandra Bullock in a star-making performance. And these three very talented actors are the core of this action thriller. It is an exciting romp about basically a psychopathic bomber who plants bombs on elevators, on trains, and most notably on a city bus in Los Angeles. And if the bus goes below 50 miles per hour, it explodes. And we have Jack Traven, played by Reeves, who is a SWAT team LAPD cop who is tasked with trying to save these people. Sandra Bullock plays the heroine. She's one of the passengers on the bus. And Dennis Hopper, of course, is the villain who is planting these bombs. So we have a really fun thrill ride in this movie. I remember seeing it when I was 9 years old when it first came out. I had the VHS, and I rewatched it last night again, and it really has strong replay value. So I'm really excited to discuss this movie and then the sequel with Mr. Tyler Michael. Tyler, what were your thoughts on Speed?
I haven't seen it before. This is my first time watching it in preparation for this podcast. I was interested in the film because the plot about, having the having the vehicle at a certain number of speed
Mhm.
always stood out to me in popular culture, especially for this film. And it seemed like a film that I would enjoy, but not love, because even though I enjoy action movies fine, I'm
Mhm.
not an action movie fanatic like many people, but
Mhm.
I still appreciate them as I would with any other genre when it's done well. And
Right.
I can tell you for sure that Speed is one that I wish I saw earlier. I enjoyed it more than I expected. It was a thrill to watch. I mean, what makes it such a compelling film is it hardly gives you a chance to breathe once
Right.
they're on the bus. Like the elevator sequence is a small taste of what's in store.
Right.
And at first, and I knew it was not going to be the strongest part of the movie, but it's a good hook to get people in. Like
Right.
at first, it just starts out as an average action movie.
Mhm.
But then once they're on the bus, it doesn't hold back with the amount of possibilities of obstacles this bus goes through.
Right.
And I was amazed at all the practicals that were used for this film to make it all happen. Like nowadays, you would see too much CGI, especially for explosions, but what you see is what you get, and it looks phenomenal on camera.
Yeah.
Like if I may say, the director, he definitely knows how to make an action movie, let
Oh,
alone just film one. So
yeah.
the film was in perfect hands.
Jean de Bont, who we know as well. He would follow up this movie with Twister 2 years later. And Mr. de Bont is actually he's Dutch, and he definitely knows his way around the camera. And I know that they approached directors like John McTiernan, who did the first, Die Hard. John de Bont worked with him on that. But I think De Bont is fantastic as director here. I think he knows his way around the camera. He knows just pacing. It's very well paced, this movie. It's like you
Yeah.
said, It really doesn't let you breathe. It's like it really the title is very accurate, Speed, because this movie is moving constantly, and you're really on the edge of your seat. It's exciting. And I also want to actually credit John Wright, who is the editor here, and also the cinematographer. Oh, here's an interesting name, Andre Bartowik. Wow, what an evening of of butchering of names. Forgive me, everybody. But yeah, the entire technical crew, the team here is fantastic. They really work well together, and they have really put together a great action film. It's not exactly an intelligent movie, but it's an exciting one. And yeah, Tyler.
If I may, you're right in terms of intelligence because you need to have a great suspension of disbelief in order to enjoy this movie.
Right.
But if there is an intelligence with making the movie, with
Mm,
making it look plausible, with making it look exciting. So intelligence in terms of story, not so much, but in
right.
terms of executing that story to a
Right.
point where we're willing to suspend that disbelief, it's incredible. This
Yeah.
is how you do a movie right, especially
Yeah.
of an action movie of this type.
And I want to go back to the cast. So I think this was one of the first times, aside from Point Break, where Reeves has really shown as an action hero. I think he's perfect here.
Oh yeah,
And
top form.
I just wanted to see more of him, and he was very charismatic, had great one-liners. You've got Jeff Daniels, who plays his partner in the SWAT team, who's also fantastic, great actor. And yeah, I mean, Sandra Bullock, this movie really brought her to the forefront of basically, Hollywood celebrity. It's pretty crazy. Like overnight, she became this really household name, and she does a good job. She's cute, she's funny, and very believable as Annie.
Oh, definitely.
But rounding out the cast is the late great Dennis Hopper, who plays the bomber. And it was during this time, this chunk of roles that he did, where he was the villain in like all these really big budget films. Before this, in 1993, he was King Koopa in Super Mario Brothers.
Obama.
Yes, yeah. And then a year after this, he was the villain in Waterworld, which was not great, but expensive, beautiful film, but just not very good. And yeah, he was really doing very well during this period of time as the quote the Hollywood villain, the stereotypical villain. Tyler, what were your thoughts on the cast, real quick?
Oh yeah, real quick. I think everybody did a solid job because in writing, these characters are not interesting.
Hmm.
However, with the right actors, they not only gave them a bit of charisma or
Hmm.
plenty of charisma actually, but it's also a film where their actions do all the expressing. So,
Hmm.
and I'm glad the film doesn't waste its time showering itself with subplots that just don't need to be there. Like
Yeah.
the only thing I just didn't believe was the romance between Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock. But
Right.
there was one cast member you did not mention who, yes, he's probably not the most memorable out of the cast, but I do love this guy,
I
Joe
think I know.
Morton.
Are you talking about? Is it Joe?
Joe Morton.
Yes, I knew
I
it.
think I think he's a very underrated actor. I love seeing him in almost any movies in. I
Yeah.
loved him in Terminator 2. He was great as Miles Dyson. And
Yes.
even that crappy movie Blues Brothers 2000, I thought he was the only strong actor in that movie, if I'm being
Oh,
totally honest. Like
I
I
think.
felt there was something more to him. He just didn't have a good script to work with.
Well, side note, I agree with Morton in the Blues Brothers movie. I also like John Goodman in that, but that might be a discussion for another time. I know we did our
Yeah,
John
that's a
Hughes talk.
discussion. That's
Um,
a discussion for another time, I'm afraid.
yes,
But
yes.
I'm just saying, Jordan, to find out that Joe Morton was in this film, I was even more excited, and he did not fail. He's great as playing, the helpful but authoritative cop who's just trying to end the situation as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I've also loved Joe Morton. I haven't seen most of his stuff. I definitely seen T2 and this, and he always just brings this very high level of authenticity to the role. Like he's very believable, like you really believe that he's their boss and he's really in this ride with them, and you're. Yeah, and again in T2, I really felt for his character of Dyson, and yeah, and he's from New York, so I'm very proud of that. So that's
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, it's pretty cool. Um, so yeah, aside from the cast, I also wanted to talk a bit about Mark Mancina, who scored the film. And he did actually he did Speed 2, Cruise Control, which we're going to discuss in just a minute. He also did one of his best scores was for the animated Tarzan film from 1999, and he also did Twister, among many other scores. I think he's a student of Hans Zimmer's. Actually, he's kind of in that school of like really adrenaline heavy, percussive scoring techniques, and he does a great job in Speed. I think the themes are great. I love the heroic theme in this. If you remember it, Tyler, they introduced it in the main title, and then it had a very glorious cue in the finale where they finally exit the bus and slide into that like that dirt field. It's if you pay attention to the music, it's just a beautiful cue. It's just gorgeous. And Tara, did you recognize the music at all? Did it impact you in any way?
Well, as any good score should do, it should feel invisible and flow with the
Mm.
film.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I don't find the score too memorable,
Okay.
but it did what it's supposed to do.
Right.
It brings that accelerating sense of tension.
Right. Right.
That's what makes it great. That's what makes it solid.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if I heard it on its own, I'd be thinking to myself, "Oh yeah, this sounds like Speed." So there is something memorable about it.
Mhm.
But honestly, I just think the score just serves the film's purpose really well. Maybe not the most iconic for me, but at the
Okay.
same time, it does what it's supposed to do, and that is really important.
Exactly. Good point. Good point. And Mark Mancina would actually return to score the sequel, which we're going to talk about right now. And I, over the decades, I've seen, clips like on cable TV. I would catch random clips of Speed 2 Cruise Control. I finally watched the entire film in one sitting just the other day, and I mean it's sloppy, it's messy, it's not very good. Jason Patrick has replaced the hero. He has replaced Keanu. I don't know why Keanu decided not to do it. Maybe for money.
He was actually doing Devil's Advocate that year.
He wanted to do Devil's Advocate that year. Interesting. And oh, yes, another reason actually, I just came to mind.
Also, he hated the script. I forgot to mention, he also hated the script.
Well, the script was just terrible all around. But Reeves, he did not want to do another action movie because he had just done Chain Reaction in 1996. So I think he wanted to kind of expand his filmography a little bit with some less actiony stuff, and that's why he did the Devil's Advocate. But it would have been cool to see him in this one, but
Honestly, it would have been better. I mean,
yeah.
I'm not saying he would save the painfully dreadful script, but the thing is, there's really no distinction between both characters. They feel like the same character. There's nothing unique about this character in this
I
sequel.
know. And I really, I mean, I like The Lost Boys. I think Patrick, he's an okay actor. But in this, I think, I don't know, it might have been the script that like really sabotaged him.
Actually, he only agreed to do the film if they would make major changes to the script, and they told him they will, but they didn't
Okay.
do it.
They
They
didn't.
did not do it, and
Oh,
he was stuck with the project.
that's
And I
messed
know
up.
he's trying, but you can definitely tell this isn't for him. He's
Yeah.
not engaged in it.
However, he did do all of his own stunts, I believe. But even that didn't save this dismal picture, unfortunately. And Sandra Bullock got top billing, and she got, I believe, 11 to 13 million dollars salary for this, and which was a little bit more than Patrick, and obviously more than Willem Dafoe, who plays the villain in this, who I think is one of the few saving graces of this film.
It's
I
Willem Dafoe. He's going to be the saving grace.
Right? He's great in everything. I don't think I've ever seen him in a bad performance.
Like
And
his character is horrible compared to Dennis Hopper,
right.
but Defoe is so entertaining to watch, even when he's just cowering as a villain at the ending, that you just gotta enjoy him. You just gotta love it, no matter what he says or does.
And even though it was very icky and slimy, I would have kind of liked to see more of those leeches. Like, why? Like, what the hell is going on with it? I know he has like some disease where he's using these leeches to basically suck the blood out of him and kind of cure him in like a medieval type of technique. That was strange. I would
Yes,
have
it was.
seen more of the psychology of John Geiger, you know. So,
Hmm.
but so in terms of saving graces, there's Defoe. There's some really good CGI work by Industrial Light and Magic, and there is a really big, lavish stunt at the very end of the final act of the film, where the cruise liner is crashing into Saint Martin, or is it Saint Thomas? Saint Martin, yeah, and basically most of that was practical. They like built a small town and just they crashed an entire ocean liner into this built town. It's a crazy stunt, and it
Hmm.
cost I think a quarter of the budget of the entire film. And that's insane. And that still didn't improve things, I don't think. What do you
No, I feel like what killed that scene was it looks amazing from a
right.
special effects standpoint. It's probably the best sequence in the movie, in my opinion.
Mhm, mhm,
But what kills it is the forced comedy, the phoned in reactions, the
right.
comic reliefs that are just like, oh, look, mommy, there's a cruise coming. Like, I'm sorry, this is all stuff that looks like something from. I'm sorry if you like this movie. This reminds me of the T-Rex going into San Diego in
Oh,
Jurassic Park 2, where
right.
with all of its dumb humor being shoehorned in. This is on the same level where it looked visually good,
Right.
but the humor doesn't match it. And there's a lack of tension, which takes you out of it. This feels more like a comedy scene than a scene where you're supposed to fear for the characters.
Yeah, it was really over the top, really overblown, expensive, unnecessarily so.
Very.
And yeah, the humor here, it's like it's awkward and it just does not it's not placed in the right moments. And I don't know, this movie could
Also, people have time to move away from this boat. It's not like they can't just like go, oh no, it's coming in so fast, we gotta go. They
yeah.
have time. So sorry.
Yeah, no, I blame the script above all else.
Me
If the
too.
script was stronger, if they hired a more competent team of writers here, things could have been better. Um, if maybe if Reeves were in there, it would have elevated things to another level, but I don't even
I
think
don't
that
think
would
it
be
would
the
have
case, you
no,
know.
I don't think it would have saved the film much.
Yeah. And also Bullock, she's not really in it that much. And she
No,
$13 million for this? I mean, come on.
like she's more on the sides. Like when you watch the first Speed movie, she was a little, ditzy, but she
Right.
was also like the one behind the wheel for a good chunk of the film. She got into the action. She was
Yeah.
smart. And in this film, I feel like they flanderized her character, where she for a good chunk is always like giggly and laughing. Even when she's supposed to be serious at the very beginning, it doesn't feel like that she's heartbroken. I don't think Bullock's character in the original would still sound ditzy when she's having these feelings.
Right.
Here, it just feels so awkward.
I know. The first one is just so smooth, and her character had great development. And even though the romance between her and Reeves was kind of, typical, kind of forced and kind
It
of,
was it was forced in my
I guess,
opinion.
yeah, corny and forced. Uh, just the writing in the second one is just so bad. They really didn't know what they wanted to do with her. I mean, did they want to make her into the hero? Did they want to make her into the plucky sidekick again?
That would have been a better film, honestly, if she was the hero.
Yeah, that would have been kind of cool. Like she would learn kind of, you know, tools of the trade from Keanu. And in this one, she's kind of more of a seasoned, maybe she becomes a cop. I don't know. It's weird. But
I don't know. There's potential somewhere.
yeah. I mean, I think this movie just should not have been made. The second one, they could have saved so much money and embarrassment. It's just sad, really.
I agree with you, but I will say this about the film.
Yeah.
This is surprising because I was surprised when I found out that Siskel and Ebert gave the film a thumbs up, when most critics at the time disliked it. And I found this out after I saw the movie.
Hmm.
And honestly, when I saw it, it's a bad sequel. It's a bad movie. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
but it's not as horrible like top 10 worst sequels worthy for
Right.
me, as bad as people like to make it out to be, or critics like to make it out to be.
Yeah.
Like it's just, like I can think of far more insulting sequels than this. This
Mhm.
film just has no reason to exist. And if it wasn't a speed film, it would have been forgotten instantly.
And you know what? It has some really great actors in it. I mean, well, you've got I mentioned Defoe, obviously, but here's another name I'm going to butcher. Tamura Morrison, who plays the first officer, I believe that was what on the ship, and who basically takes over after the captain gets killed. Spoiler, but yeah, this actor, I mean, he's fantastic. He's a New Zealand actor. He was Jango Fett in Attack of the Clones, and I think the other sequels. But I think he's very good in this. He's very convincing. He's very authoritative, kind of like the Joe Morton character a little bit. He really
Mhm.
brings that level of class to the cast. And yeah, I enjoyed seeing him. Um, there's also character actors Michael G. Haggerty and
Oh yeah.
Camp who play passengers on the cruise, and they add a little bit of comic relief there, so that's pretty cool.
Oh
And
yeah, no. I'm sorry, go on.
no, no, and also another member of the crew on the ship is oh, what's his name? Oh, Brian McCarty, he's the Scottish actor who plays. He's got that long curly hair, and he's kind of manic, kind of frantic. It's a good cast, but the script and everything around it is just doomed, unfortunately. It's a doomed voyage, So sorry, Tyler,
It
you
is.
were.
No, I was gonna say, like, when I found out that Michael Haggerty was in the film and Kimmy Robertson was, I
Hmm,
was really surprised because I feel like that, yes, their characters are just stereotypical cliches, but they're
right.
fun to watch. I enjoyed watching them more than okay, with Willem Dafoe aside, I enjoyed watching Willem Dafoe and some of these side characters more than I enjoyed the main characters.
Yeah, it's
And
it's a disappointment all around.
right. And also, you kind of get a sense that the film is going to go down when you see Tim Conway in the film, who is a great comedic actor, but obviously they're trying to work in his humor for this routine that's
Right,
at the beginning and end of the film, and it
right.
just feels tacked on. It just
Yeah,
does not.
the whole driving lessons scenes, those really are not funny or interesting
No.
at all. And it's a really bad line, Sandra Bullock. She almost hits a bus and she's like, "Oh, yeah, that bus was going way too fast." Like, okay, we get it. Yeah, you're referencing the original. Okay, we got it. Just moments like that are just so cringeworthy. It's just sad.
They
But
are. And Tim Conway, who is really funny, just has nothing to really work with here.
I know he's just looking scared and nervous, and that's it. And,
Right. And even his reactions just feel a little too comical for a
right.
film called Speed 2.
Yeah. And the title Speed 2 does not really make sense because the ship is not really going that fast at all. And yeah.
I
Yes.
had the same criticism as you did until I thought of something.
What?
It's the speed of the character's actions.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, no, it should not be. I wish this film wasn't called Speed 2, but they have to call it Speed 2 to sell it. And if I had to put some kind of logic in to make it make sense, which is a slim argument, it's the speed of how fast these characters can get this boat moving in the right
Oh,
direction or slow it down even slower. But there's nothing exhilarating about this film. That's
no.
the problem.
Right.
Like when you hear the movie Speed, just the title alone, it means something urgent. It
Right.
means something, quick. It means something life threatening.
Right.
And it's going to happen in a matter of seconds if everything's not accordingly done. That's all you need. But this is like Speed 2, and
Yeah.
it doesn't deliver. It doesn't have that same element of excitement.
Okay, so here's two things. So basically, if you want to see a movie from 1997 about a doomed ocean liner, I would I would point you in the direction of Titanic.
Yeah,
Um, And if you want to see a much better sequel to a movie that didn't really deserve one, I mean, well, The Lost World Jurassic Park comes to mind. A much better, yeah, not as good as the original, but still interesting. But Speed 2 is just a movie that just should not have been made. They should just have locked the film footage in a vault with it's not Warner Brothers, but lock it away with the Animaniacs because nobody should see this movie. It is just a soggy mess, and I don't plan on ever rewatching it. I don't think.
Me
I don't think I
neither.
will.
Even for the saving graces, it's not enough for
Yeah,
me to recommend it. I mean, it'll definitely entertain people who just like to watch, dumb action movies.
yeah.
But aside from that, and this is coming as someone who likes dumb horror movies, so I understand that crowd.
Okay.
But at the same time, there's just no point of it existing, and it doesn't have anything really warranting for it to be considered a rewatch. Even if it's on television, I would just skip it. So
My final report would be it's a bad movie with good moments, good elements that you kind of pick out of it. But sadly, those little moments, those speckles, do not constitute a quality film, which is very disappointing. So,
perfectly said.
yeah, thank you. I would say watch the first Speed, but I just skip this one.
Yeah, I would just say skip it unless you just want, unless you're a big action fanatic and you just want some dumb entertainment that will not bore you, but it will not give you what you had in the first film. It will not give you that same quality.
See it if you're absolutely curious about the follow-up to a really good 90s action classic. Uh, in that token, I would just direct you to Twister, which is by the same director. That's a year before this, and that's an exciting film as well. Jean de Bont, prior to Speed 2, he really knew his stuff. He really knew pacing. He really knew the best out of it, how to get the best out of his actors. He knew how to, he worked with good screenwriters, and yeah, the first Speed's great. Twister is really fun too, but Speed 2 let down.
Yeah,
So,
definitely a letdown.
yeah. All right, Tyler. So we have about a minute or so left. Are there any plugs that you have on your end?
Yes, on my blog, I am going to be posting a list of my top 25 favorite Halloween movies in spirit of October.
Hmm.
These are films that I personally love. A lot of them are guilty pleasures, but this is stuff that I just feel like sharing for the first time. And I'd like to, and I like to hear from other people. If you read the post, I'd love to hear what stuff you love to watch on Halloween. What are some of your favorites? So it's on the blog site, Tyler the Movie Maniac, and it'll be released on October 6th.
Sounds good. All right. Looking forward to that. And we're probably gonna do a Halloween themed episode for Under the Radar. We're still in the early stages of planning that, but Tyler, I hope you can be involved with that.
I hope so too.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. As for me, plugs for Under the Radar, you could catch new episodes of the show through Slam Radio, through SiriusXM every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Also, the video version of the podcast will be on Manhattan Neighborhood Network, and that's every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. And as always, feel free to subscribe to the Under the Radar YouTube channel. So yeah, subscribe and share the love. Uh, and also, guys, I wanted to mention real quick that I was a guest last week on the PBS show Talking Pictures with Neil Rosen. It was very exciting, very fortunate to have been invited on there, and we had a lot of fun. And I will post information as to how to see it. So, yeah, there you have it. I want to thank Tyler Michael. After many months of not being on the show, welcome back, and thank you for your time tonight.
I had a lot of fun being here. I hope to do this more often with you, man. I really do.
That's a promise. All right, guys. Well, I'm Randy Younger. This has been Under the Radar, bringing movies and people together, one frame at a time. We'll see you next time. Take care.